What's up guys, Roman from RNS Entertainment here with another episode of Comic History, the weekly series where we go over the iconic origins and storylines for all sorts of great comics and characters. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the first volume of the currently running Carnage solo series, during which he faces off with former host of Venom and current host of Toxin, Eddie Brock. I've covered Eddie Brock's origin as Venom, the origin of the Toxin symbiote in Venom vs. Carnage, the origin of Eddie Brock as Toxin in Toxin Reborn, and a ton of other relevant symbiote stories in other episodes of Comic History. So if you want to learn more about the symbiotes, make sure to check out the playlist on the channel. The story starts out as many Carnage stories do, with Cletus Kasady grabbing a casual bite to eat at a random diner between nightly murdering sprees as Carnage. Cletus is infuriated by a news broadcast that gets his name wrong, calling him Cleavon Kasady, and also reveals to Cletus that there was a lone survivor from his very first mass murder, a decorated Afghanistan war veteran and current security expert Manuela Calderon, who is currently managing security for the Gray Ridge Mine in West Virginia. Killing everyone in the diner and screaming in rage, Carnage sets out to find the one who got away. At the Gray Ridge Mine, FBI agent Claire Dixon, along with the mine's director Barry Gleason, have put together a task force, a special team with the sole mission of defeating Carnage. The mine is the trap, the news broadcast was the bait, intended to piss Carnage off and draw him to Manuela, and the method they intend to kill him with is comprised of miniaturized sonic cannons. The team consists of John Jameson, aka Man-Wolf, the son of J. Jonah Jameson, Manuela, and Eddie Brock, former host of Venom and current host of Toxin, who explains that he is, in a way, now his own grandpa, as Carnage is the son of Venom when Eddie was Venom, and Toxin is the son of Carnage. We also get filled in on what Eddie has been doing between his last fight with Agent Venom, which I covered in Toxin Reborn, and now. He's remained an anti-hero just like he was when he was anti-Venom, and has been continuing to shut down drug gangs and hunt down symbiotes. The government subdued him with sonic cannons and used the same symbiote dampener that they originally used on Agent Venom, giving Eddie Brock a permanent parole as long as he follows Dixon's orders, which Eddie calls being on the leash. Toxin is kept in check until they absolutely need him, which Eddie is very excited about. Carnage murders his way into the mine, cutting his way through the soldiers straight towards Manuela, and just in time she's able to lead him into the grid of sonic cannons, which injures him and forces the symbiote to partially retreat from Cletus, but before they can detain him, the ground cracks from the cannon fire, and Agent Dixon berates Gleason for telling her that the area was safe and devoid of tunnels. Carnage and a group of the FBI agents fall into an old blocked off portion of tunnels, and Dixon sends John Jameson and several more agents in after Carnage, keeping Manuela and Eddie with her. Carnage works his way through the tunnels, killing the helpless agents who had fallen in with him, and Dixon along with the FBI track his progress, telling Jameson's group which direction to go. Suddenly the power goes out in the entire facility, including inside the mine, and Dixon sends out Manuela and Brock to find a way to fix it. They find the power controls destroyed and realize quickly that Gleason had snuck out right before the power went out. They manage to get the cameras in the mine back up, seeing that Carnage is right on top of Jameson's group, and when he attacks, the sonic cannons they use cause a cave-in, and Dixon rallies Eddie Brock and Manuela to lead the rescue mission, still wary of letting Toxin off the leash unless it's absolutely necessary. Meanwhile, Gleason is seen murdering several of the FBI agents with poison gas, and Carnage picks off Jameson's men in the mine, eventually triggering Jameson's latent abilities as Man-Wolf, sparking a fight between him and Carnage while Dixon and Manuela talk about whether or not they can trust Brock and or Toxin. Eventually, Carnage figures out that the jewel is the source of Man-Wolf's powers and rips it out of his chest, with him dazed and exhausted tumbling backward into the mine. With Man-Wolf defeated, Dixon finally decides that it's time to let Toxin free, but before she's able to hit the button, the remote is shot out of her hand by Gleason. And when Brock and one of the agents fire the sonic cannons at him, they cause another cave-in, temporarily separating them from Carnage. Gleason approaches Carnage and leads him to an ancient door, telling Carnage that this is his destiny. Meanwhile, Manuela wakes up to the sound of Eddie Brock repeatedly calling out her name over the radio, casually asking her how it's going down there while stressing that it's not looking good up where he is. Dixon is apparently injured, the other agents all died, and he has several broken bones. Manuela knows that Eddie has tried to manipulate her before into giving him back his symbiote, and has the activator that Dixon dropped. Carnage has been led into a strange Cthulhu-style cathedral complete with a congregation of cultists, and they tell him that he is the center of a prophecy intended to bring about the return of the old gods. Carnage tells them that they're insane, and he loves it. Manuela sits with the activator with a difficult choice: listen to Brock and possibly risk letting yet another deadly monster loose, or risk the chance that Carnage is still alive with Brock as their only hope for survival. Brock tells her that as Venom he was a monster, but that with Toxin it's different. Toxin had been bonded to morally sound police officer Patrick Mulligan at birth, and Eddie had time to live without a symbiote between being anti-Venom and Toxin. He says that he rides Toxin, it doesn't control him. She eventually decides to listen to Eddie and activates the symbiote, revealing a new Toxin design and costume. Very different than Eddie's version of Toxin in the Agent Venom solo series, but still really cool. Super 90s with all of the embellishments, but kind of an awesome mix of Venom and Carnage. The red and black coloration is great. He says that it was always going to come down to this, him versus Carnage, symbiote versus symbiote, because after all, it's a family thing. The cult leader shows Carnage what is essentially the Necronomicon, which he calls the Darkhold, showing him the prophecy saying that Carnage, aka the Red Slayer, will revive Cthulhu and the Dark Ones. They tell Carnage that his name will live on forever, but that it's his blood that must be spilled for the ritual. The cultists jump onto him, stabbing him with swords and knives, but when Carnage's blood, which is fused with his symbiote, hits the pages of the book, it changes him somehow and expands his powers, letting him make miniature versions of his symbiote to control the cult members, and taking the book away from the leader. Toxin and the team arrive at the shrine, and Carnage bursts through the door with multiple symbiote-covered cultists, saying that he preferred when he was an orphan and he didn't have to deal with family. He asks if that's Brock inside the symbiote, and says that the whole father-son-grandson thing is getting too complicated. As Manuela and Dixon set their sights on Gleason, who grabs the book and speaks a spell, setting Manuela's clothes on fire as Toxin fights off Carnage's entire army. Carnage tells Eddie that he never had any delusions of being important, of being anything at all, and that murdering was the only thing that ever gave him purpose. Brock tells him he's still nothing, just a punk in a monster suit, and Carnage's cultists surround him. Carnage says that Manuela doesn't matter anymore, that nothing matters other than the book that says Cletus Kasady is more than Carnage, and screams when he notices that it's been taken. Meanwhile, Manuela, Dixon, and Jameson have escaped the mines and surface several miles from their original location, intending to get back to the control center and collapse the mine, killing Carnage and everyone left inside. Manuela and Jameson reflect on how disastrous this entire mission has gone, and Manny tells him that collapsing the mine is another mistake, that Brock is no different than Jameson himself and deserves a chance to continue doing the right thing. Carnage realizes that he can sense the book and track it down if he can escape the mine, and Dixon gives the order to fire the sonic cannons directly at the ground and bury the symbiotes inside. The ground crumbles, but Dixon notices that Jameson only fired a small blast from the cannons, giving Brock the chance to get out of there, saying that he's one of their own, no man left behind. Brock continues to fight the Carnage cultists while Carnage himself escapes out of the mine into a church where Manuela is waiting for him. She says that he stinks of death and fires the sonic cannons at him, but his contact with the Darkhold has given him new powers, and he's no longer weakened by sonics. Carnage pounces on Manuela, who smiles at him as her finger slides to the trigger of rigged mine explosives she surrounded the church with. And right as Toxin makes it out of the mine, she pushes the button, blasting Carnage as Toxin dives on Manuela, taking the brunt of the explosion and saving her life. She thanks Brock, and Agent Dixon berates the entire team for letting Carnage escape and not allowing her to blow the entire mine when she had the chance. Manuela pulls out a page she was able to tear from the Darkhold, saying that Carnage is obsessed with the book now, and that's the way to track him down. The story ends with Carnage tracking down Gleason, who has been desperately fleeing with the book, and tells him to finish the prophecy. He hates cliffhangers. And that is the first volume of the really cool currently running Carnage solo series. This book is the best thing going on with symbiotes currently in Marvel. It's so good to see them using Eddie Brock as Toxin again, and it blends an obvious sci-fi horror movie tone with classic symbiote mythos and a fun twist, giving Carnage more power with the Darkhold. The series is still continuing on, so I will eventually be covering what happens next, but in the meantime, you can check out the comic history playlist on the channel for tons of other symbiote videos. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button, and if there's a storyline, character, or origin you'd like to see an episode of Comic History on, go check out our Patreon and donate at patreon.com/rnsentertainment. One of the donation rewards is to commission any story you want, both helping the channel grow and getting content specifically for you. Make sure to follow me on Twitter at Roman_RNS, like and follow us on Facebook, subscribe to our gaming channel RNS Gaming, and I'll see you guys next time.